Jamie, thank you. We actually went to the same primary school, primary 1 and primary 2, and St Gall's.
Same year?
He was the teacher.
Senior pupil. And the school, what's really interesting about the school is it backed on one side, the Clonard Novena, and on the other side, where I found a picture this morning, the old playground was actually a peace wall.
That's right.
It was the only school in Belfast that its actual playground was part of the peace wall. I can't really remember because we were quite young, but on reflection, where we lived at that time, the old Beachmount and the Clonard area in West Belfast, late 80s, early 90s, it wasn't normal. It was a great place and very strong community. But what's your early memories of growing up kind of St Gall's Primary School and the old part of Beachmount that was very run down?
It was normal for us. I had a fantastic childhood. It was brilliant. But it's a lot different to my own kids now, and I keep bringing it up to my wife. We used to get sent out, especially at the weekend. I wouldn't see mum and dad till later on that night. I think everyone's a wee bit older than me, so they'd be the same in the room. But I think it shapes you, it hardens you a bit, but it also teaches you the ways of the world, a bit of life. You grow up pretty early, you grow up pretty quick, but you're also able to wheel and deal your own way through life as well, because you've had to do it on the street in West Belfast.
There's a good side to it. There's a real strong sense of community on both sides of those walls. For the lower falls, the lower Shankill, real emphasis on community building, a real emphasis on relationships. And we're going to talk about the importance of relationships in your business career now, but those early formative years, what were the strongest relationships and the biggest influence on a young Jamie Conlan?
Neighbours. You knew every one of your neighbours back then. Everyone's doors open, everyone was welcomed. You could let someone else look after your kids. Everyone was kind of together, and it always felt like, and that was a big thing about community back then, especially in working class communities. It was us against the world, and it was working together to kind of make sure everyone was all right. If I think we were at one of these things before, I was listening to one of your podcasts before, that if you didn't have something, you could knock next door and they would give you it and share it. So it was that community spirit, friendships growing up. I still have the same kind of friends now. We meet up every Christmas. We go for the 12 pubs of Christmas. So we wear the ugliest Christmas jumpers, and you go out and you get absolutely pissed. But so yes, it's that community. No matter where we've all went with our lives and our kids and growing up, we still group chats have been a big thing. Like when WhatsApp came in, we still connect and keep in touch.
What was the early influence in boxing? Like where because I remember even when we went to La Salle then.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You were kind of really progressing in your amateur career, and had already formed, I think maybe Irish champion, but already well known in boxing circles, even at, what was that, 16? Mm-hmm. But it started long before that. Was it your dad that got you into boxing, or was it the community? I know it's massive around West Belfast, but what was your first time in a boxing club and why?
I never wanted to be a boxer.
No?
Never. I wanted to be a footballer. I was adamant I was going to be a footballer. I had curtains. I thought it was Jamie Redknapp.
I remember.
Yeah, I did. I thought I am unbelievable at football, but I was 2 foot nothing, and people were just towering over me. So one of my younger brothers, we have 4 brothers, and Brendan really wanted to box, not me. But my dad was adamant I had to go with him, and he told me a story, and I don't know if it's true to this day. Michael Owen was small. He went boxing. He started boxing. You can be like Michael Owen if you go to boxing. Get strong, get fit, get bigger. So I went, and it was all right. I said, listen, I don't think this is for me. He says, if you stick this out 3 nights a week for 1 year, I'll give you 50 quid at the end of the year. I never got the 50 quid, but yeah, it was that was it. Once I get in, and I think most people who get involved in boxing and who kind of start boxing are touch it by watching it or being close to people are. It's an addictive sport. It's like a drug. There's nothing better than punching some other fella in the face, but it's so addictive. The kind of like it gets you in, and that first year I was hooked. It taught me discipline. It brought me to new communities. It brought me to new friendships. But there was something that that ingrained in them old, like smelly gloves and all. It was brilliant, man. It was brilliant.
When did you realise you were good? Was there a point where you realised, like, because in boxing, you're generally, particularly as a child, it's age categorised and then by height and weight and generally paired up evenly. When did you realise I'm better than most of these people my age around me?
I never did.
Okay.
That was one thing right up until my last fight. I always had to be better. I knew we were doing, like, for me, the pinnacle was all, I thought the best thing you could ever do was go to Dublin and win the All-Ireland Championships. Once you won that, like, that was it. I did never think of professionals or Olympic Games or Commonwealth Games. That was, we were solely fixed on going to Dublin. And that weekend in Dublin over Easter as a juvenile boxer, that was what I think about, and I speak about with previous opponents and people I shared trips with. Like, that was for us, that was the pinnacle of the sport. And it's just funny that when you kind of go on, you remember that was your childhood dream, was to go to Dublin and win an All-Ireland title. And lucky enough, me and two of my brothers, we won. We were the first, I think the only since, all brothers in the 1 year to become All-Ireland champions. And it was just, that was it. When we done that, I think, but I always had a younger brother who was better on me, so that was the shit part of it. Like, like I could come home and think I'm the big boy in the room, but yeah. But he was always younger brother, so he could take a slap.
So who was the three brothers? You, Michael, and Brandy.
Brandy, yeah.
Three of you were All-Ireland champions.
We won the All-Ireland title. I think I was 16, Brent was 15, Michael was at 12. So we all in the same year. Wow. And we were driving back. My dad always, after our biggest thing was going to get McDonald's. Like, bring in McDonald's. We'll go to McDonald's. You win or lose, we're going to McDonald's and we sit out. And we don't talk about boxing, you don't talk about the fight. You just sit and you enjoy McDonald's. So we sat in the car going back, and our bread, and he was 16. He goes, "That's it for me." And I said, "Oh, yeah, right. Darry, that's me. I'm done. I want to experience girls. I want to drink. I want to swim." I don't want to do this no more.
Just won the All-Ireland?
He just won the All-Ireland and he packed it in. He just said, "That's me done." Like, his growing up was different to me. I was lucky. I'd won numerous All-Irelands at that point, and Michael as well. It was younger but had won two. Brendan never won any. He'd always met this one guy every year, and it used to break my mum's heart, break everyone's heart. The same guy beat him every year. And this guy, Brent beat him once or twice, but never got the decision. And this year he won it, he done it. It was like the relief was off his shoulder, the monkey is off his back. I can go and try new things, he said. Women was the big thing he wanted to try.
Trying to work out who was the smarter person to stay in boxing or to go race route.
Oh, definitely Brent.
So you'd mentioned the smelly gloves.
Yeah.
Because I remember, like, well, boxing's different now. It's glitz, it's glamorous.
Yeah.
You have Anthony Joshua. Like, it's now in stadiums. It's on Sky Sports. There's money behind it at a certain level. But I remember those days with you and like Marco McCulloch and that.
Yeah.
You were training in John Breen's gym, which was the epitome of an old school boxing gym. It had the gas stove. It smelt like it was just. Yeah. But there was a lot of big, hard men trained in there. Like Eamon McGee. And then you turned professional quite young and trained in that environment, which was rough and ready. Mm-hmm. Like, sports science hadn't really reached the likes of John Breen, albeit he was producing world champion after world champion and contenders. But there's a lot of sacrifice there. There's a lot of grit needed, a lot of very macho male role models around you. Eamon has his own troubles. How did you navigate that journey, Jamie, where there was no frills and spills? It was just hard work, graft, and
like, when I look back, I don't realise how tough of environment it was. But because at that time, you're young, you're naive, but also you think you can beat the world. You know, you're courageous, and you've just got balls to burn. So it just, that moment coming in, McGee, I used to be, if I got 2 words out of him in the gym, it would be, I would go home and tell my dad, like, here, McGee said hello to me today. I remember he made me a drink, like an orange juice. He said, take that after I had a hard day of sparring. He said, here, take that. And I was thinking, Jesus, it was a pint of Fanta. It was fizzy juice, but I came from the elite setup in the Irish high performance team. I'd won the Ulster Senior Championships 5 years in a row. It was coming up the Commonwealth Games year, and me and my brother were the same weight, but Mick is 5 years younger than me. So my dad said, oh, we'll enter both of you in the same competition, the same weight. If he's ever made, we'll pull it, we'll figure it out. No one expected him to kind of get to where he got to, and we both got to the final. He beat the last year's champion, both got to the final. Ulster Senior Championships, and we're in the final. Ulster Hall. At that stage, it was a lot bigger than probably it is now. Me and Michael,
I didn't know this.
Right to the final, and that was it. Like, John Breen had came, so there was a decision. People kept asking if we were going to fight or whatnot, and we were never going to fight. We said we'd toss the coin, and that was genuinely the plan. My mum had said, toss a coin, whoever wins, we'll go on, because it was the next trip was Australia, and then you went to the Commonwealth Games. I'd never been to Australia at this stage, and I always wanted to go to Australia. And I was kind of going, fuck, I'd really like to go on this. And I don't know what happened. I just woke up one morning and said, you know what, you can take it. I'm going to go pro instead, and we'll try this out. So I went and met John Breen. I'd met him a few times because we trained in his gym at night time, so I'd known him pretty well.
What age were you?
22. Michael was only 17, 16. I think he had just turned senior. He was only allowed into the national or Ulster seniors by a week, so no one expected anyone. But we knew how good he was. Obviously, me and my dad, but we didn't. We just check it out. Like it's a big competition, the Ulster Senior Championships in the Ulster Hall. So that was it. That was a big change in process for both of our lives and careers. He went on at that stage, he didn't win the Commonwealth Games, but he became Commonwealth champion, European champion, world champion, and Olympic bronze medalist. And I turned pro. But when I went into the gym, I do remember what you were saying. It's as manly as the gym as you can. Laura has been in the gym and her sister, they came down. It's as manly as the gym. There's no excuses. And they challenge your manhood a lot. Like in terms of this generation that we have now, wouldn't survive in that gym. Like the stuff he would have said if you didn't get in and spar or fight someone, you were belittled a wee bit, but it was tough.
I remember, your Michael included, Marco McCullough, several people saying the hardest spars, like it was brutal. There was a brutality about Breen's gym. It was tough, and his idea, of course, was to harden people up.
Yeah.
And several people that I've Marco included, saying it was brutal training.
It was wrong for you. It definitely was. But the ring was smaller than a normal ring, and then when you get into a ring on fight night, you were going, "Oh, there's so much freedom to move." Like, he's tricked me the whole time. So like it was unreal at times, because you would see world-class fighters coming in sparring, and they would be little boys a wee bit, because I remember, I'll tell you a great story. The heat, Laura know the heat, it'd be superstars all around the ring. You'd have it on from the morning. It's a tiny ring up above a bar. You could smell food coming up and drink, and then Ian McGee would be ready to come in with drink. But he had Commonwealth Games bronze medalists from Ghana coming in to spar, and the heat was unbearable. And it was like we were sticking up really, really tough first round, and I had a vest on. I said, "Get that vest off me." In the first round, I says, "John, turn the fucking heater off." And he says, "You think you're tired? He's not used to this either." I says, "He's from Ghana. He's fucking used to this, man. The heat, Jesus Christ." Oh, and he didn't think of it. And your man's breathing normal. I couldn't breathe, but yeah, it were tough days. They really made, especially early in your career. I went away as well a few times. They sent me, I got sent sparring, so I went to France, outside of Paris, in like a wee enclave, where it was just all Algerians, and I was the only white guy. And but they knew I was there to spar, so I was there to spar their world champion. I was only turned pro about 6 months. I had my second fight, and for 3 weeks I'm there. No one speaks a word of English. They give me a wee token to go for food at night time. And I walk over and I say every night, "I want a steak." And back then I had no real taste buds really. "Well done, want to speak." The chef used to come out, bang the table at me. I said, I don't know what you made, just a mistake, well done. But then they taught me how to eat it and all, but it was just like stuff like that. You had 200 people come in to watch you spar. Because
Baptism
it was,
of fire.
I baptism of fire, trying to kill you every day.
And I know you're very humble, but you had a great professional career. You did have a great career fighting in the Odyssey, Waterfront Hall, fought for a world title, many ups and many lessons as well. I remember going down to buy the tickets off you when you were Dunville
Right,
Street.
Dunville Street.
Again, looking at your career, there was different things that happened as well. Frampton towards the end of your career took off, and big massive nights of boxing came back. Can you give us an overview? Have you looked back and reflected on your career at any point? Because I know you're busy, but have you had the chance to actually reflect on it? And if so, can you share those reflections with us?
Probably not. No, I've never really sat back. I knew I was retiring before even I was going into my last fight. I was just like, no. So I was never thinking back. But when I do think back, I had some unbelievable nights. Some great nights in Dublin and in London. We had like fantastic fights, epic fights, and just I always just felt relief after a fight. Like I never felt real elation, just relief that was over. Like that, because I always knew the fight was going to be tough. So relief it was over, relief the camp was over, and then just get back to the normality. But no, never have set back. But when I retired, I knew I was content.
Okay.
That was the one thing I felt in the change room after the world title fight was I'm content with everything. Everyone was very down. I was I'm content with this. Like it's been a great ride. Like we've had some. I didn't think I was going to do how long I was going to do it, and didn't think I was Commonwealth champion, European champion. I fought for a world title. I've been all around the world. I was very content. I was very happy with it. Yeah.
That's good, because a lot of athletes struggle with that transition. So to leave content is a great sign. I'm always interested in a fight camp because it requires a lot of somebody. Share with us what you have to give. Is it 12 weeks or is it 10 weeks?
10. I would have gone 10. Yeah.
And you're away from home for a lot of that?
Yeah, I would have been. Yeah, I would have been away from home a lot. Towards the end, the last 4 years of my career, I would have went away for every camp because I knew them years were the tough years. So you were fighting real tough fighters, and it was tough. So 2 weeks I would have went. First 2 weeks of camp, I would have just been getting fit, really into shape. Just periodization of camp, I would have broke down. It would have been just heavy loading, mainly on the start. Bit of long runs, mountain runs, just getting the fitness up, getting the heart rate up, and then we kind of went into a bit more technique and looking at who we're fighting closer to it. But they were the best days. That's the best thing about it was the camp.
Okay.
The camaraderie. I know if you speak to sports stars and teams, the camaraderie of a camp or of a team is one thing everyone usually misses, and that's what I miss about it all. Lucky enough, I still get to be around other people's camps, but it's that when you're in the trenches and you're training with other fighters, and you all have the same one set goal is to become world champion or to achieve your dream, and that's kind of what I missed about it. But the crack was always brilliant. I had some good partners in camp to train with and live with. But the days were long, the days were hard. I tried, they played video games. I read every day. Every camp I'd read a book or a book or two, and then I'd watch a series at night time. But they were the days you miss is the camp days, yeah.
You've made what seems like a great transition into the world of business. The obvious question before we talk more about the business side of things was, what lessons from sport did you take with you?
Never let the lowest lows, never get too low on the lows and never get too high on the highs. Just try and keep an even keel. As I said, as soon as it was won, it was relief, wee bit of celebration, but it was just back to normality. And when I lost, it was the same. It was all right. This hurt. I didn't get what I wanted to get out of it, but don't let it get me too down. And that was kind of what I took straight away in the business, and just never be too disappointed with being let down by others.
Is the pressure of being a boxing promoter, boxing manager, and being involved in huge events, really, how does it differ from just being the fighter?
Oh, it's 10 times worse.
Is it?
Aye. Because when you're a fighter, control the controllables. I know what I can do, and I can control the fight, basically. When you're a promoter, and our manager, you can't control people. People are going to do what people do. So, as again, baptism of fire. First kind of one I'd done really on my own was back end of COVID. First outdoor event in COVID. First sporting event in COVID. In the Falls Park, we were restricted. We were like a trial guinea pig for events to come. So all that track and trace stuff was going through that. And this is kind of your first one where you have no real support to do it. I'd worked with a different company prior to it, and I'd done all that, but that was pressure, because you have obviously people paying their money, so you have 1,000 people coming to an event, but also you're responsible for a load of different boxers' careers. You have to guide their careers. You have to make sure everything is right, because if a fight doesn't happen, they can't provide for their family. It's a lot more pressure when it comes to managing and promoting than it is the actual boxing, yeah.
I remember one time we met for a coffee in the Balmoral, and you were different time zones, even boxers from America trying to speak to you, and it's full on. Even now, your phone, you can lighten up every so often. You're always on. And I know now where you are now with your career, it's big events. Like we had a piece of history recently at Windsor Park. The first, if I got this right, the first time 2 Irishmen have fought for a world title in Lewis and Paddy Donovan. I'm really interested, Jamie, like that was massive. That was beamed all around the world. Belfast was seen in such a positive light. It was a great sporting event. You were intricately involved in that with the IFA, the council, Matchroom. How important is collaboration and communication to pull off something of that magnitude?
I think number one, in any business, from what I kind of vaguely have understood, it's people. You could be involved in tech, you can be involved in property. It's people. It's communicating with people. It's people working with people, no matter what the business is. If you can have good communication with other people, I think you'll be all right in business. You'll be good at business. You're already a leg up. Communication when it's various different entities trying to seek their own financial gain or try to not lose money or try to make an event pull off is hard, because everyone has their own goal and what they want out of something. And for me, when we done Windsor, I was in the middle of everybody. So I was making sure that IFA and Windsor Park were going to be okay, find out what they want, and see if we can all figure out a way and make it together. And usually that's it. Like, it's a bit of a win-win for everyone, but if they're all comfortable of knowing what they want and understand this is what he wants and this is what he wants, okay, they know they're not being shafted by each other, so they'll be able to collaborate and work together. But communication was massive in an event like that. First ever All-Irish world title fight, first world title fight at Windsor Park. It was a massive jump from cracking. The first one was 7,000 and we jumped to 16,000 to guarantee that coming in. There was a lot of work that needed to be done. And that's not even, like, the hardest part is the boxers. You're dealing with an ego of a fighter and 2 fighters, and Paddy Donovan didn't want to come up to Belfast. We had to convince him to come to Belfast again. He felt like he got hard done by the first time. So there was the communication with that. Croc wanted to make sure it was in Windsor Park. He didn't want to fight in the SSA again. That was his dream, was to fight from Windsor Park. That's problem number one. Problem number two was to get the world title on the line. It just fell on, so we then had to lobby and negotiate and get that done. And that's not even without talking about money, what people want to be paid. So it was a lot of there was a lot of avenues that we had to go down before even a punch was thrown in the ring. But unbelievable night, like, worked out in our favour. It was one of my best nights in boxing. As I said, I don't get too high. I jumped, Jesus Christ, I jumped as high as I could. And I never felt, again, elation, celebration. Jeez, I never felt there's something in me just to jump. I was like a school kid again, you know, just, and that brings it back. When you look at all that, what we done before it, you kind of lose the romanticism of the sport, but then when it goes your way and you win, fuck, there's no better feeling.
Addictive again.
It is. It just drags you back in.
I'm going to ask you a similar question they asked Tanya. So Tanya's one was with a property. There's so many things outside of her control, from tradesmen not showing up and so on. You're preparing for a fight. The TV date is set. Like, you know, the zone's coming. The date is in question. Fighters are coming in and out of camps. There's loads of. How do you cope with all those moving parts and the things that are outside of your control? But this has to go ahead.
Number one, I try everything I can to make sure it's done. But you have a small group of people who you know and you can trust, because you need someone to lean on. You always need someone to lean on. And one thing, that's probably one of the mistakes I make on a continued basis, is I think I can do it all on my own. I don't really want to burden someone with my problem. If there's a problem, I like to take it first and foremost. But sharing the load is usually a big thing when it comes to that. Understanding when you're doing a big event, and Tanya's probably similar when she's doing the property, you've got 500 things you need to do. 495 of them things probably aren't really needed to be done. They'll figure themselves out. Get the main things done first and foremost. The rest kind of seem to figure themselves out. But yeah, big events, small group, focus on the main priorities, and then kind of work back from there.
Brilliant. Last question. We can now say this. It's been announced yesterday in the news. There's another fight happening in Windsor Park. Lewis Crocker again. Have I got that right?
Possibly, yeah.
I'm going by BBC Sport, and I'm hoping I can say that.
Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. Yes, we've had meetings all week with Tracy Kelly, the Lord Mayor, and we've met with Windsor Park. We've met with the Zone. We're just figuring out now in the next 2 weeks about opponent. But yeah, it's all systems go again. It seems we're hopeful for that. We were hoping for Conor Ben in February, which didn't happen, and we were still hoping for one or two of the bigger names. But it potentially just be a world title defence, and then back again potentially in September.
Here's the question for you: what you pulled off as a multi-agency thing at Windsor Park a couple of months back was sensational. It was world class. You're now going again. Where's the improvements? Obviously, you're looking at, say, right, how do we make small incremental gains? How do we make it more commercially viable? How do we make it a better product? Have you identified those yet?
Yeah, we've got a longer run-in this time, a lot longer run-in on promotion. We're looking, I think we done 16 last time. We're going to try and do 20 this time, 20,000. 23 is what the talk was on Wednesday, but I'm usually a bit of a pessimist when it comes to numbers and people telling you numbers. So about 18 to 20 this time, and I think it's bigger and better. We have established, boxing has always been a core sport in Northern Ireland, and once you get behind a world champion and you kind of can grow from there, it's about bringing the next phase of fighters through. So establish the kind of talent that's here on the island. I've been speaking to Rob about doing something in February in the Waterfront Hall about keeping the next generation coming through, British and Commonwealth champions. But it's just about growing now. We have a platform here in Belfast. 20,000 people are going to come up to Windsor Park, but it's about keeping them, large majority of them, interested in the next generation of fighters, that we try and build more and more world champions.
Brilliant, Jamie. Thank you very, very much for your time and those insights. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Brilliant.
Very much.